Think of the most talented person you have ever known. Not the most successful, not the most promoted, not the one whose name gets mentioned in meetings. The most genuinely, undeniably, quietly talented. Now ask yourself, honestly, are they the most celebrated person in the room? They are not. They almost never are. And the reason why is one of the oldest, most painful and most consistent patterns in human history. It did not start with your office. It did not start with your school. It started long before any of us were born. And only one civilization in the world ever truly understood why it happens and what to do about it. Every great civilization in history told the same story. A warrior of almost impossible ability, brilliant, gifted beyond measure, capable of things no one around them could match, who was never given what they had earned. The Greeks called him Achilles, the Norse called him Sigurd, India called him Karna. But here is the difference. Greece and the Norse told the story. India asked why it keeps happening, and India, only India, had an answer that still holds up today. Karna, the greatest warrior in the Mahabharata, one of the world's oldest and most extraordinary epics, was born with a gift so rare it frightened everyone around him. He was the son of the sun god Surya. He came into the world wearing golden armor, already radiant, already marked, and almost immediately the world began working against him. His mother abandoned him at birth, not from cruelty, but from fear of what people would say. He was found by a charioteer and raised as a charioteer's son. In a society defined by birth and bloodline, Karna was placed at the bottom, not because of what he could do, but because of where he had come from. He taught himself archery. He sought out Dronakarya, the greatest teacher in the land, and was rejected. Not because he was not good enough, because he was not the right caste. He went to Parashurama instead, pretended to be a Brahmin, and became the most technically skilled archer alive, better than Arjuna, which almost everyone in the Mahabharata privately admitted, including Arjuna himself. And still, the system refused to see him. Modern psychology has a name for what Karna experienced, and what your talented colleague is experiencing right now in your office, in your team, in your family. We even have a word for it in psychology: systemic undervaluation. The system does not just miss talented people. It needs to miss them, because seeing them clearly would mean rearranging everything. There is research on this, and it is uncomfortable reading. The highest rated performers in rigid organizations are actually less likely to be promoted than their average colleagues. Not more, less. When someone is visibly, undeniably better than the people above them, those people face a choice: celebrate the talent and implicitly acknowledge their own limitations, or find reasons to dismiss it. Most people choose the second option, not consciously, but consistently. Karna experienced this at every stage of his life. At the royal tournament, where he was finally given a chance to demonstrate his skill against Arjuna, he did it. He matched Arjuna arrow for arrow, step for step. The crowd was stunned, and then Kripa, the court priest, stepped forward and asked one question: "What is your lineage? What is your family name? What caste are you?" Karna could not answer in a way the system would accept, and the moment vanished. Not because he was not good enough, because the system needed him to not be good enough. His excellence was inconvenient, and inconvenient excellence does not get celebrated. It gets reclassified. This is the second thing psychology tells us about talented people who are never celebrated. It is not just that the system overlooks them, it is that the system actively needs to overlook them, because acknowledging them would require a restructuring of who matters and why. Think about the Rahul in your office, the one who writes the best code, solves the hardest problems, works weekends without being asked. Is he the team lead? Probably not. Is the team lead someone louder, someone better connected, someone who went to the right college, someone who looks the part? Probably yes. And here is the thing that makes this unbearable. Rahul probably knows. Karna knew. He was never confused about how good he was. He did not suffer from low self-esteem. He suffered from something far more specific, the knowledge that the world could see his ability clearly and had chosen, deliberately, to respond to it with silence. When talented people are consistently not seen, something quietly breaks inside them. Psychology calls it recognition deprivation. The rest of us call it the moment we stop trying. In plain language, when talented people are consistently not seen, they stop trying. Or they leave, or they do something worse. They stay, and they shrink. They become smaller versions of themselves. They stop taking risks. They stop offering ideas. They go through the motions of a job that no longer asks anything of them, because they have learned, slowly and painfully, that offering more only invites more disappointment. Karna did not shrink. This is the part of his story that the Mahabharata most wants you to understand. He was rejected by Dronakarya. He competed in the tournament and was denied. He was mocked in court, dismissed in battles, insulted publicly by Bhima, who called him lowborn in front of everyone. And he absorbed every single one of these blows without letting them change what he did next. He kept fighting. He kept training. He kept showing up. Not because he believed the system would eventually recognize him. He knew it would not. He kept going because he had separated his sense of self from the validation of others in a way that most people spend their entire lives trying to achieve and almost never do. This is where the Mahabharata becomes something that no Western psychology tradition has fully articulated. And it is the insight at the heart of the Bhagavad Gita, which you will remember was a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield. The core teaching is this: you have a right to act, you do not have a right to the fruits of your action. Karna had internalized this before Krishna ever said it to Arjuna. He did not do the work because he expected to be rewarded. He did the work because doing the work was who he was. His identity was not built on external recognition. It was built on the act itself, the drawing of the bow, the precision of the shot, the discipline of the training. When you build your identity on outcomes, on recognition, on promotion, on other people's acknowledgement, you are handing your psychological stability to people who may never give you what you need. Karna understood this. He kept his stability inside the act, not inside the response to it. Doing the work because it matters to you, not because someone is watching, is the only kind of motivation that survives long term. It does not burn out. It does not need applause. It just keeps going. And Karna was living this 5,000 years before the research caught up. But the Mahabharata is not a comfortable story, because for all of Karna's psychological strength, it also shows us what the cost of systemic undervaluation is at a civilisational scale. When the most talented warrior in the epic is consistently denied legitimacy, the result is not just personal tragedy. It is collective catastrophe. The Mahabharata ends in a war that kills almost everyone. And part of the reason it was inevitable was that Karna, the one person who might have prevented it, was never given a seat at the table where the decisions were made. The system that excluded him paid for it with everything it had. That is what happens to every team, every family, every company that consistently rewards the wrong people and silences the right ones. The talent leaves, or it turns, or it watches from the outside as the whole thing falls apart. So what do you do with all of this? If you are Karna, if you are the most talented person in your room and the room has decided not to see you, the Mahabharata tells you something harder and more useful than be patient. Separate the work from the response to the work. Build your identity on what you do, not on whether anyone noticed. Find a way to remain fully yourself inside a world that is asking you, quietly, to become smaller. Karna never became smaller. The system did everything in its power to reduce him, and he refused every single time to be reduced. Achilles, when the system failed him, withdrew. He made his wound the center of the story. Karna made his work the center of the story. Achilles is remembered as a monument to rage. Karna is remembered as a monument to grace. Both were denied what they deserved. Only one decided that what they deserved was not the point. 5,000 years later, after the war, after the dynasty, after the kingdom turned to dust, we are still talking about Karna. Not because the system gave him what he was owed, but because he never needed it to. If you know a Karna, send them this video, not to explain anything, just so they know what they're living through has a name, a history, and a response 5,000 years old. Subscribe if you want more of this. Ancient wisdom decoded for the modern mind. I will see you in the next one.